Hi, hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alex, and today we're gonna do an author feature, which this is the first time I've ever done this on my YouTube channel, but I have done this on my blog on several occasions throughout the year. And basically today I'm just gonna talk about an indie author that I regularly work with and that I absolutely love. And her name is Hannah Lynn. You guys have probably heard me talk about Hannah before. If you've been on this channel for a minute, I absolutely love her work. She found me years ago, it must have been like 5 years ago, and she asked me to help do like publicity for her book, just like giving an honest review and featuring on my blog, on my Instagram, and I was just so touched and so honored to actually get an opportunity to work with an indie author. Like, already I was fangirling over this opportunity because no one had ever asked me to do that before. No one had ever asked me to feature their book or anything like that. So I was super excited. And now 5 years later, like, we're still working together. She still contacts me when she's got a new release coming out, and I absolutely love her books. I love talking about her books. I love sharing her books with others. I've just enjoyed all of it. So first of all, let's get down into the logistics of it. Hannah Lynn has written 21 works, okay? That's a very good sized portfolio. Like, here I was sitting here like, oh yeah, I've read a lot of her books. No, I actually haven't read a lot of her books because she's written quite a bit. I have read 4 of her books, and I'm going to talk about each of them, so don't worry. But she's also published under a pen name, Ella Stone, and under Ella Stone, she has written 10 works. So I mean, just bump it up even more. Round of applause for Hannah Lynn / Ella Stone for just absolutely killing it. I feel like Hannah contacts me and I'm like, girl, you're putting out another book already? Another book already? Ella Stone is actually releasing a book this month. And of course, Hannah asked me to weigh in on it. So that's going to go to the top of my list for August. But this is like the second time this summer that Hannah has published a book. Hannah / Ella Stone. So, yeah. She's just on another level, this one, okay? So, let's get into the books I've read, and let's talk about it. The very first Hannah Lynn book I read was The Afterlife of Walter Augustus. Let me tell you, I still think about this book all the time. I still talk about this book all the time, okay? Because the premise of this book was so interesting to me. Hannah set it up in a way that we're reading Walter Augustus's story, except Walter is dead. He has passed away many years ago, and he's sitting in a kind of purgatory type situation. And basically, you have to sit in purgatory, or, you know, this in between, until everybody in the living world forgets about you. And that's like the whole premise of Walter's dilemma, is he's trying to move on into like what's next in the afterlife, where like all his family is and his wife and his children, and he's been stuck in this in-between place until everybody forgets about him. The reason that people can't forget about him is because a very long time ago, while he was still alive, he published a collection of short stories or poems, and it only made 3 copies. So there's only like 3 copies in the whole world. But the second someone picks up that book and reads it, he has to stay in this in-between place. And it's so interesting to me, the idea of like, you have to be forgotten in order to move on. Like, your memory has to be completely dead before you can move on into the next piece. So like throughout all of this, you know, we're wandering around with Walter. There's like the in-between is full of like super famous people, like actresses and actors and like presidents and political figures and just people who will like never be forgotten. And it makes me think now, like the other day a friend sent me an article and I was like, that guy's never getting out of the in-between. Everybody's gonna talk about that guy forever. Like no one's gonna forget about that guy. And so I think about this book all the time. On the flip side of Walter's, you know, he's in the in-between, and the person that he's trying to get to forget him is this random woman. And we're also getting snippets of her life and then how the two worlds kind of collide together. I thought the writing was just so good. Hannah has this like super duper talent of just making me care about characters. I don't know how she does it. She's so good at it though. Like I cared so much about Walter. I cared so much about Letty. I think that's the name of the other person in the book, but I fell in love with this, and I fell in love with Hannah Lynn. Like after this, anytime she asked me to do something, I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll do it. Like no questions, because this book was so freaking good. So yeah, I absolutely loved the premise of this one. Like I said, I never forget about this book. I actually just talked to a friend about it last month, and he said I never even thought of that for like an Afterlife story. And yeah, me neither. It's the most interesting take on life after death that I've ever read. I feel like that says a lot. Let's move on. The next book I'm going to talk about is Peas, Carrots, and an Aston Martin. This was the second book I read for her, and I did not love it as much as I loved Walter Augustus, but I feel like that's just because I don't like contemporary fiction a lot. It's not like my favorite genre, and I feel like that's why it was just kind of there for me. Now, did I love the characters? Yes. She does such a good job. The premise of this book is son has a strained relationship with his father. He lives in the big city and his father lives in the country, and his father suddenly passes away. Well, the one thing that the son always wanted was his dad's Aston Martin, and he was sure when he passed that he was going to get the Aston Martin. Unfortunately, their relationship had deteriorated so badly over the years that the dad was like, no, I'm not going to give you the Aston Martin. So he goes to the funeral and the will reading, and at the will reading is when he discovers he's not getting the Aston Martin unless there's like rules. He says that he can have the Aston Martin, but he has to take over his gardening plot, and he has to go there every weekend and take care of it and actually like grow things and like take care of it and turn it into a functioning garden plot for 1 year. And that's the whole requirement. And I didn't really realize how big of a deal gardening plots are in the UK. I don't know if I did not mention this, but Hannah is from the UK, so she writes from that perspective quite often. So I didn't realize how big of a deal they are over there. Like, it's really hard to get a gardening plot, and then like once you get it, you never let it go. Like, you pass it down through your family members and things like that. Like, having a garden plot is like peak achievement, apparently. Like, I didn't know about any of this, and I'm sure it's not true everywhere in the UK, but I feel like a lot of the smaller towns, it's legit a thing. So the son is like super upset that there's like these rules. Like, even in death, his father is not like being an easy man. So this whole story is about him struggling to fulfill the wishes of his dead father so that he can get the Aston Martin, and along the way there's a lot of like life lessons. Like, it's actually a very tender, sweet read, I thought, and it's a lot about like family and priorities and making sure that you're, you know, living your life to the fullest every day, because you never know when your last day might be, and to love the people that are around you. So it actually was a really sweet story. I just had more trouble with it than I did the first one, Walter Augustus. But I still loved it. I still loved it. Let's move on. The next book is Athena's Child. This is part of the Grecian Women series, and there's 3 books in this series, but I've read 2, the first and the last. And Athena's Child, this was the first of her Greek mythos that I read. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me just preface this by saying historical fiction is not my thing. Greek mythology is not my thing. I'm more into like Norse. But wow. Oh my god, she's so good. Hannah Lynn is so good, okay? Athena's Child is the origin story of Medusa. Just let that like sink in a moment, because I feel like we don't hear a lot about Medusa. Like, all we hear about Medusa is how like she's the villain for someone else's hero story, and this book gave me everything I've ever wanted about Medusa. I am a huge Medusa fan. That sounds so weird to say, but she's definitely one of my favorites from Greek mythos. Even though I don't study it a lot, she's definitely a fan favorite. So to get to read like her origin story was just so spectacular. And Hannah does her research, okay, because throughout the book I found myself like Googling, because I was like, is this true? Is this really what happened? Because basically all I have to go on is any kind of Greek mythology films that I've seen, and as we all know, films take a lot of things out of context just to make the story better. So there were a lot of things that I was like, is that really what happened? Is that really true? And I found myself Googling a lot, and yeah, she like hit the nail on the head. She did a ton of research. I don't know how she was so thorough. But she was. And I loved it even more for that, because she didn't like fuss around with it. She was really upfront with it. And then the way she writes, I just fell in love. If you love Medusa, if you love Greek mythology, Grecian Women series, you're not going to go wrong, I'm telling you. The next one, and this is the last book I'm going to talk about, is Queens of the Themiscyra, and I talked about this in a previous post because I just read it, because she just released it this summer. Like I said, she just churns out books like a little machine, like amazing. Queens of the Themiscyra is the Amazon warrior women tale. So how, you know, how they rose and how they fall. And I loved it. Oh my gosh, I loved it. I mean, I didn't love it like I loved the Medusa retelling, and I think it's just because I found myself just so frustrated with the characters, because at some times they were just being so stupid, and I was so disappointed at how stupid they were being. But I mean, that's reality, I guess. Not everyone is like wise and so put together. So I liked that the story was a little messy, because it made it feel more real to me. And of course we have a lot of like other famous men. We have Theseus, we have Hercules, and then at the end we have Achilles, and they do mention Patroclus at some point. But really it's about the queens of the Amazons and how they live their lives. And it sounds kind of boring when you put it like that, but wow, the pacing of this book, and there was a lot of action, and then there was just lots of love between like sisterly love, and then we have a little sapphic romance in there, which was just perfect for sapphic summer. And then we also have, you know, just a regular, like, I don't know what you would say, heterosexual love interest. So much love in this book, like, and it'll break your heart. It was just so beautifully written. Like, every book I pick up from Hannah, the newer they are, I'm like, she has just gotten better and better with every book that she has written. She has just become, she already was phenomenal, and she's just become even more so throughout the years of her writing. Like, anything she has written, I'll read, quite honestly. And I didn't realize until like super recently, because this is just who I am as a person, how many books she's written and how far behind I am in reading all of her books. But I am, so I need to like catch up. But if you have not read Hannah Lynn, please, 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 just one of her books, pick it up. I promise it'll be great. It'll be great. So let's talk a little bit about Ella Stone. This is the first time that I've ever been approached by Ella Stone to review a book for her. She typically does like urban fantasy type genre. And like I said, she's written 10 works under Ella Stone. And this is what I'm reading for August for her. And it's about a teen vampire that has a blog. Okay, you guys know how I feel about vampires, right? Not my thing. Vampires are just not my favorite thing that's ever been literary created. But since it's, you know, Hannah/Ella, I mean, I had to go in on it. Because I think it's going to be great. How could it not be? She's not let me down before, so she surely isn't going to let me down now. This book is releasing on the 29th, I believe. I will put all the information for the release and a synopsis for this book, because I am telling you, it has completely evaded my brain right now. I'm so terribly sorry. I will put the whole synopsis down below that she sent me. It sounds super fun and super interesting. I'll put all the release date, the links, all that below so that you can peruse that. I'll put all the links for her other books that I discussed today and the timestamps and everything in the description box. There was some talk of a giveaway between Hannah and me. Haven't decided anything yet, but if you would like there to be a giveaway, please leave me a comment. I don't care what you say in the comment. Leave me any comment that you're interested in the giveaway, or that you like the video, or that you love Hannah Lynn or Ella Stone, anything like that. And I'll talk with Hannah about putting together a giveaway. But since my channel is so small, I didn't know that if a giveaway would actually be successful. But if this, you know, does okay, if this video reaches enough people, we could put together a giveaway. So that would be super exciting, because I love all of her works and I would love for someone to get her book. So yeah, make sure you hit all the buttons down below. I post every week, so I'll be posting next week. If you're interested in being featured on my channel, send me a message, direct message. I'll put my email down below. I'm always reachable there. I love featuring independent authors on my channel. I love reading books by independent authors. I love all of that. I love supporting authors any way I can. So yeah, if that's something that you're interested, also leave a comment. Yeah, that's all I really have for you today. This was such a fun post for me, because I absolutely love Hannah and I love her work, and it's just so nice to talk about books that you love. So I'm really happy that Hannah reached out to me all those years ago, and that we still continue to work together. It's really such a joy. It's such a joy for me to do that. So yeah, Hannah, if you're seeing this, thank you for all the books that you've written. Thank you for asking me to spotlight your books on my small channel, on my small Instagram, on my small everything. Thank you for all the opportunities, and I've loved every minute of it. So yeah, y'all come back next week for another video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.